I figured I'd do a nice and simple one today. No Osmo 3, no microphone, no computer. And it's a lot easier that way for me to like just jump on a stream and do a live stream. Now, to give you a little bit of update of everything that's going on, we obviously added a bunch of new geckos to the website. So I want to shout that out first. We have 29 new geckos. Yes, you are first, Lindsay Papas. 29 new geckos and then some existing geckos that were left over from the last update on our website. I have about 100 more leopard geckos that I'm going to be adding over the next week or so. And we're getting caught up with cleaning now. And, you know, I'm back from vacation. I was in Colorado for a little bit with my wife's family. And so I do plan on doing more live streams, as well as selling live streams, as well as just videos in general. So I'm really excited about that. Lots of different videos and topics that we could do with videos. Let me see if I can get the live chat to just stay on stream here. Live chat. There we go. 100. Yeah, that's crazy, right? I'm always behind on the amount of geckos that I want to update onto the site, but we definitely got them here. Look at this little guy's nuts right here. He is not going to get a very high handleability rating. So if you notice too, this is something I should talk about. We started giving handleability ratings on our website. So if you go to geekygeckocreations.com, you can see that every gecko has a handleability rating. And what that rating means is basically on a scale from 1 to 10, how naturally calm is this gecko? Because some geckos are very naturally calm and other geckos are a little spunky at first, and it's good for parents as well as first-time owners to know the personality of their gecko at the start. That way they can prepare. I don't want to put a level 3 personality gecko that's jumping everywhere and nipping at the kid's fingers. I wouldn't want to put that into a kid's hands. So I was getting a lot of questions about, like, how do you know the, like, is this gecko handleable and stuff like that? And I was like, one sec, let me check for you. And I'd run to the gecko, handle the gecko, go back to the person by text message and be like, yes, this gecko is handleable, or no, this gecko is like a little bit jumpy, so it might not be best for like a 5-year-old or an 8-year-old, right? So I was doing that so much where I was like, why don't I just put a rating while I'm taking the photographs of these animals? They're in my hand, as you can see, based on the photograph of all the animals. So it would only take me 2 seconds to write a handleability rating on the front of the cage, so that when I'm putting it up onto the website, I can also update the handleability rating to the website. So anyway, that's a long-winded way of saying I am happy with our new rating system. I don't get like any handleability questions anymore. I think it's amazing. I need to shout you guys out. I think you guys are amazing that you're reading the descriptions of the animals. And a lot of people are coming to me and being like, hey, I know the handleability rating is this, but what about this? And I'm like, really good job for reading, because a lot of people don't read the description, you know, in my past experience. But now with this experience, I'm noticing a lot of people are reading the description. That's also a good way to know the history and all the genetics that are inside of your animal, because that's also on our website as well, in the description. Birthday, all of that. So see, like this guy would get a, let me see here. I have to do the back test where I pet them on the back and see, does the gecko freak out? No. This guy would probably get an 8 or a 9. And the only reason he wouldn't get a 10 is because he's actually walking around. To get a 10, the gecko has to be sitting perfectly still and not flustered at all when picked up. I actually have the rating system written down on the board there. I can read it. So, hold on. 10 means that they sit still and don't move. 9 means that they sit still but they move slowly. 8 means that they walk slow/medium at times on the person's hand. 7 or hold on. 8 means that they sit still and they slowly walk a little bit from time to time. 7 is they don't sit still, but they slowly walk from hand to hand. And then 6 is they walk fast from hand to hand. 5 is they walk fast and jump from hand to hand. 4 is they're running on your hands and jumping. 3, this is where you start to really get into the nitty gritty geckos, is 3 is they run, they jump, and they scream. 2 is they run, they jump, they scream, and they nip at you a little bit. I've rated geckos all the way down to a 2, but never a 1 or a 0. 1 is that they jump and run and bite, like actually bite you. And that's why I've never rated that, because leopard geckos rarely ever bite for purpose. It's more just like a little scream, like a little chirp, bite, and then run away, not like a full-on bite kind of thing. And then that's it. I actually don't have any 0s. So very few number 2s. Like, I think out of the last 200 geckos I've put on my website, well, the ranking system just started, but even before then, there's no gecko ever. And if you look on my website, since the website's been up, we've probably sold like 700-800 geckos in the last year or two. And since that website's been up, I can't even think of any number 2s. I could think of a number 3. Like, I think there's a number 3 on there right now. But never anything lower than a 3. And most of the geckos are somewhere between 4 and... I would say 4 and 7 is the average. 8s, there are some 8s on there. 9s and 10s are a little more rare, but they're on there as well. So I'm more into the turtle hobby. I got 2. I have 2 males housed separately. Yeah, males you definitely don't want to house together. If you saw my video on that, we had an accident here a while back when one of our employees accidentally didn't understand that in the particular rack system that she was working on, you can't push the tubs all the way back because there's no backing on that rack. So, you know, that was probably my fault for... that was the first time she did that rack, and I didn't realize it, and I didn't educate her on that. And so she called me frantically. She's like, okay, don't worry. I got them separated, but I'm bleeding really bad right now because I had to separate some males that were fighting. And I did a video on that. That video is on my YouTube channel. So what happened was she pushed all these tubs to the back of this male breeder rack. Like all males in this rack of like 60 geckos. And by the time she realized something was wrong, there was already 6 or 7 males that were pushed all the way to the back, and they were crawling out of their bins and jumping into the other males' bins. And that's when she caught 2 of them fighting, and she was like, I couldn't get them separated for nothing. I sprayed water on them, they wouldn't separate. So she went in there with her hands and like pulled them apart, and then they did separate. But anyway. Yeah, adolescent males are actually okay. Up to about 3 months max. And then once the males are 3 months, if they're housed together, they're going to start to dominate each other and stuff. So I would definitely encourage people to separate males by the time that 3-month mark comes, because anytime after that, they could really start nipping at each other, and then you might get like missing tail tips and all that kind of stuff. So I used to house them together when I thought one was a female. Yeah, that happens all the time. People think one is a female, and a lot of people don't realize that leopard geckos, you can't really know 110% the sex, male or female. until about like 4 months plus. And even then, there's things that I call late blooming males. Now one like this, what a gecko like this, I can look at the signs of this gecko and I can be like, yeah, that's female. But to say with 110% assurance that it's female, I don't think anybody can truly make that call, because something I've noticed is there are late blooming males, meaning they're not showing signs early on and then they wind up turning into a male 5 or 6 months later. So that is more rare, which is why I feel pretty confident on my website to label the females female and the males male. And for the most part, there's no conflict there whatsoever. There's one leopard gecko, one out of hundreds of leopard geckos that have been on my site recently. Ooh, this one's dark tangerine. Look at how dark this tangerine is. One leopard gecko on my site right now that I actually have labeled female, and then in parentheses it says may turn into a late bloomer male. And that's because she is a little bit, her bulges are not big, but there's a crease in the bulge, almost like a butt crack. There's a crease in between one bulge and another bulge. And with females at that age, usually the crease is smoothed over. You can't see the crease at all. But with this one, you can see the crease clear as day. It's very distinct. And so either it's going to be a girl with very distinct and or bigger bulges, or it's going to turn into a late bloomer boy. Either one. But I have it labeled right now as what I think, as how I would judge it based on right now, which is a female. So I almost was going to do a vertical live stream, which I do plan on doing more vertical live streams, but I think YouTube advertises it to a different audience, you know? The vacuum cleaner. It's great for the loose dirt that's on top of the hide, because when you open the hide, that dirt comes flying off and creates more dirt in the atmosphere of your work environment. So it's good to have that hand vacuum to prevent that from happening. And then I can open it up, because sometimes I need to fill it with a little bit of more dirt here. Then I'll fill it with water. I should do a TikTok live stream soon too. I haven't done a TikTok in a while. Honestly, I just been a little busy for the live streams. I have had to focus on like updating geckos to the website and stuff. And you guys know how much I love making videos, making content, but I did have to put that on the back burner for the last couple months, just because what makes a business go round and round are sales. And so as bad as it sounds, I've had to focus on making sales and dial back my live streaming and content creation and stuff like that, because, you know, that making sales, updating website, taking photos, all of that actually takes a lot of time. We do have a new system here now that I really, really enjoy, which is this double rubber band system, which keeps these lids on. And we used to use clips, and the clips were kind of bulky. They get in the way. They get caught on other clips and stuff. Rubber bands are great. Let me see. I think I have space over here where I'm going to put it. Give me a second here. because I have some clearance and I want to fill out the space. Well, I guess I will just, let me see. I guess I'll put it, yeah, I'll put it back on the same shelf that it was on prior. Don't worry, we're not actually vacuuming the geckos at all, and it's just a small hand-powered vacuum. This one will probably make a nice gecko to put on the website soon. This is a clown. Clown Infernos sometimes make really nice, like tangerine, emerine geckos. Let's see if I can show them to you. This one's pretty nice, actually. It might not show too well on camera here. And this one would be a jumper. So it would be at least, well, as it grows up, that might change a little bit. But, hi, little one. Okay, okay, okay. Relax. Relax. It's okay. It's okay. All right. You can see a lot of green there. And this isn't even with a great camera. All right, let's put her there. Man, it is warm in this room. Howdy, Amy. How are you and the fam, your reptile family doing? Everyone is doing great. I just got back from Colorado. I hiked a mountain where it was snowing at the top, so that was pretty awesome. Got to spend some time with my sisters-in-laws as well as my mother and father-in-law, and it was a good time. Now I'm back. It was so nice to not have to, like, there were things I had to manage from a distance, you know, of people who are working here and things that are going on, but it was so nice at the end of the day to be like, I don't have to clean geckos tonight. I don't have to take photos tonight. I don't have to worry about anything tonight. I just need to enjoy the 4 days that I'm here, and then once I get back, hit the ground running hard. So, Voodles, Masons, good to see you guys too. Let's see. This is going to get in the way a little bit if I... Alright, so there's 1126. Hold on here. Let's do that. And then we have 12-1. These guys, these guys might be a little bit bigger. Let's see here. Oh, these ones are done. Okay. Okay, those guys are done. These guys actually will be ready for selling soon. So I did add 29 geckos to the website today, and then I have another 100 to add, and then behind that are these. So what I'm cleaning right now is the next 100 geckos that are like growing up, but I have like 100 to add right now that are up to size. All right, let's get These ones are clean, so they're gonna go back on the rack. Let's tackle. These ones are gonna be a little bit bigger. Yeah. I don't breed, but I may sell jewelry in parks and school. Check out Palm Street. That's a great place to sell. Frank is the GOAT. Oh, thank you so much. Glad to hear you had a good time and a bit of a break. Yeah. As a business owner now, I realize how much breaks are really necessary. And there's other people involved in my life, right? Like my wife, my parents, my niece, my nephew, my sister. I need to keep all those people in mind because sometimes I can get so caught up in work mode and progress mode, and I call it like empire building mode, where you know men, probably women too, but I think men more specifically that go into business and stuff, they have this tendency to like sacrifice everything to make the business grow as big and efficiently as quickly as possible. That's like, you know, that's why they say like most wars and stuff are started over ambitious men, right? Like they're just not satisfied. You can't just have Ireland or whatever. You need Ireland and Scotland, and Ireland and Scotland isn't enough. So then you need to try to conquer England, and it's this constant cycle. I mean, we see this going on today, right? Still. And some of these wars tie into the past, and there's like vengeance and vendettas and all these kinds of things that also inspire the new wars of today's culture. But at the end of the day, the bottom line is men want expansion. They're never happy with, you know, I mean, I should phrase it this way. It's a temptation of man to want to build and conquer and do it quickly. That's like a temptation of man. So sometimes with that mindset, I get caught up in the business, trying to build the business and grow the business. And I forget about all the benefits that come along with, like one of the reasons I went into business on my own, one of the reasons was that I wanted to be financially independent, and I wanted to support our household, my wife and I, and hopefully our future kids. We don't have any now, but support that household with a business that makes enough money for two incomes, so that if and when my wife was to get pregnant, that she wouldn't be forced to work. Like we wouldn't need the money because the business can make up the difference for two incomes. And that's one of the reasons, you know, amongst other reasons, that's one of the reasons why I work so hard and like just work. But at the same time, then you are now taking one of the goals of your job, which is to make a better life financially for your family. But then if your family never sees you, if your wife never sees you, if your kids never see you, then what's the real benefit of that, you know? Honestly, some of my most... Oh, here's a nice boy. Here's that thing I was talking about. This is... I can definitely tell this is going to be a boy, but there's a crease. The crease is very defined on this one. And if I had to guess, this is probably one of our super giant blood Emerines. And yes, it is super giant blood Emerine, 100% het trapper. Should I put this one in the sales shelf now? Let me see. Is there room? Technically there's room. Technically, but I might have bigger geckos that can go in before this guy. So I'm not going to put this guy in there right now. Because if I have bigger geckos that are ready to upgrade their tub size, I would rather do that than put the smaller geckos on the upgraded shelf. So I love and hate owning a small business. Yes. Same. That is how I feel. Samesies. If you missed what I'm doing, dirt accumulates on the top of these hides. So I vacuum it before opening the hide so that all the dirt doesn't come splattering out. Another thing that comes along with owning your own business is a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure and a lot of concern of while you're growing the business and the business is expanding, you're going to be making a lot of purchases, racks, food, employees, all that stuff. And expansion can be very expensive. So a lot of your profits get eaten right up into the expansion for the first few years of a business. And I've always understood that, and that's okay. I understand that, but it doesn't feel good in the moment. And after 2-3 years of doing that, sometimes you begin to question and you have doubts and you ask yourself, like, are there better strategies that I can be applying? But then you can look at what you've built and the assets and the animals that you've held back, and you can predict for the next year or two that in theory you should be much better off because of all of these changes you've made and an expansion that you've invested into. So, wait, is this? Hold on, I need to switch these. Oh, this is the stuck trigger one. I'll use it. There's water in it. I'll use it. This trigger gets a little sticky. But I need to buy a new one, but I like to ride things out to the end, to the very end, until they're completely useless. Not when you're a kid and only pay for some supplies till it gets stable. I'm thinking of breeding. Yeah, I'll probably make a video on, like, what reptiles are the most profitable to breed. How much did we make in our first year of business? All kinds of cool stuff like that. Now that 2025 is here, like I said, I want to get back on the content grind. Here's a nice little, like, hyperzanthic bold stripe line animal. There we go. Mandarin Inferno, my favorite. Let's see what we got. It's always a surprise. This one is not very orange, but that's why I say it's always a surprise, because if they were all super orange, then there would be no surprises. They would just all be super orange. But genetic diversity actually allows for surprise. So you could be pleasantly surprised or unpleasantly surprised at the color of an animal. Yeah, it is good to learn business when you're younger, for sure. I never wanted to be a business owner. Never, ever. I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. I think it's too risky for me. Like, with my type of personality, I just wanted to work for somebody else. Let them take the risk. Let them provide my paycheck. Let me build up a 401k or a pension and have insurance benefits and all that kind of stuff. But when I lost my job in COVID, and then I was already building a large operation, And then I had a very gracious family member become a buy into the company, as well as be like a financial investor and supporter. For all of those reasons, it made it possible for me to just be like, yeah, let's just do reptiles full time. So that is what I do now. Reptiles full time. That sounds like it could be the name of a podcast. Reptiles full time. I've always loved the bold stripe morph. Yeah, a lot of people really do. To be honest, I know that it's one of those cornerstone morphs that you just have to have. And I do like it. But if I was to name like top 5 morphs, I don't know if it would be in it for me. But I know that I can be passionate about breeding them and creating the best outcomes. The brightest yellows, the boldest stripes, the thickest stripes, the weirdest head patterns, the deepest bands on the nose, and then leading into tangerine, bold stripes and stuff. So I can definitely get into it from a perfection point of view, trying to perfect the look of the bold stripe and create new and interesting looks. But when it comes to favorite morphs, I would say tangerine, number 1. I would probably say like tangerine, white, and yellow, number 2. Like a tangerine with white and yellow, a nice version. And then I would probably say like black knight. And then I would probably say, what is that, 3? Then I would probably say like some kind of Max Snow. Like particularly, I really like my Fasciolatus Max Snows, the Mr. Freeze project, where they just have those extremely high whites and lavenders with like little to no yellow on them. So I would say that. And then let's think. What would be my 5th? If I could only put one more. What do you guys think? Throw some ideas at me, because what would my 5th be? I want to get my first gecko, but I have 4 dogs. Do you think the gecko gets stressed? No, they won't get stressed because of the barking. And if the gecko's in its own cage, it should be safe. As long as there's a lid on the cage where the gecko can't get out and the dogs can't get in, you should be perfectly fine. A lot of reptile owners also own other pets. And we did just put 29 new geckos up on our website. And we are continuing our 50% off theme and sales through January, just because I have so many geckos and I think it's really fun to provide people quality geckos at quality price. If you could produce the perfect colored gecko, what morphs would it be? That's actually a really good question. I need to get some paper towels. I'll be right back. All right, first let me pick my 5th morph in my top 5. Then we will go into hypothetical morphs that don't exist yet. But if I could make it, or if it existed, what would I like? So I already said like the Max Snow. What am I missing? I know I'm missing something that's clear as day that I would choose. Alex, what's going on, man? So tangerine, I already said. Tangerine, white and yellow. Max Snow Fasciolatus. Black Knight. What is the 5th top 5 that I would pick? What am I missing? What's on my website now? Supergiant and Marine. I do like Marine stuff. Red Stripe. I do like a good red stripe. Albinos, I'm going to stay away from albinos because I don't want to put that in my top 5. Even though I like them and they're great. But what else? What am I missing? What's on my website that I'm missing? Bold stripes. I'm trying not to put bold stripes as that fifth one. I'm trying to see if there's another one. If not, I might default to bold stripes. Oh, I guess, I want to say like the clown, which would be like the jungle, tangerine, emerine. I like that. So let's go with that. That's my top 5. And 3 out of the top 5 are tangerine variations. You can see how much I like tangerine. Pure tangerine, just a pure solid orange gecko, like Charmander is probably my favorite. And then tangerine white and yellow, which is a great, interesting look. Tangerine emerine, which is like a clownish kind of thing. So three of my top 5 are tangerine variations. That's funny. Now, getting into hypotheticals. I probably, let me think here. Okay, a blue gecko, an all blue gecko, a green gecko, a pure green gecko. And I actually do have some green projects, but the problem with green is that it rarely lasts well into adulthood. Like, it tends to fade into the color of the gecko, and if it does exist in adulthood, it's not as bright and vivid as it was in the past. Chocolate rainwater baby. Yeah, nice velvety brown would be nice. But yeah, I'd say a blue gecko, a green gecko, obviously a pure red gecko, which doesn't exist. We don't have pure red in our hobby. It's more of like an orangey red. The other thing, which I can't take credit for this, so I will give credit to the person that I heard this from, which is Wally from Supreme Gecko. He was talking about how he wanted to create geckos with a different tail color compared to body color. So like I think he said when I was talking to him, he wanted a black knight with an orange tail. So stuff like that, right? So like a black gecko with a white tail, or a white gecko with a black tail, or an orange gecko with a black tail, or a black gecko with an orange tail. Like stuff like that would be pretty cool in theory. And the reason that that's really difficult, and I don't know if that's going to be possible, time will tell, is that most of the time the tail, well, all of the time, the tail color of a leopard gecko seems to be limited to either having parts of black in there, white in there, and then obviously if it's a tangerine leopard gecko, shades of orange in the tail. I've actually never, now that I think about it, I've never seen a leopard gecko with a full yellow tail, which is really, really interesting. So we have carrot tail leopard geckos. We have yellow leopard geckos, but we don't have yellow leopard geckos with yellow tails, or yellow leopard geckos with orange tails. That's my tri-color project, which I have yellow leopard geckos that have some carrot tail, and I want to see if I could create yellow leopard geckos with like a full orange tail. I wouldn't say it's impossible, but at this point right now, I would say it's just not likely to happen anytime soon, because the tails of leopard geckos, it's hard to get them one color. There's always like 3 or 4 different colors on the tail of a leopard gecko. White, black, orange, and then sometimes like green-ish. I don't know if it's possible to isolate any one of those colors, but we will certainly be trying. Yeah, clowns are great. Chocolate. Astro, get and... Okay, you're just giving them some advice. Yeah, Astronomical Pie Studios, Alexander from PA, I think, right? Cold temps up in PA right now. Some of the coldest temps I'm shipping to. But if you saw my latest video, I have experimented and learned a lot about some great techniques for shipping into cold climates that I'm very confident with. And I have a gecko going out tonight that's going to be overnighted in 19 degrees. And then by the time it arrives at the person's house, it will be delivered at somewhere between 20 to 30 degrees. So I packed it up in anticipation of that. Sometimes leopard geckos will sit in their food bowls, especially when they're young like this. Hello, little one. Hello, hello. Goodbye. You're chirping at me. It's like, hey, I just want to eat where I poop, okay, man? Just let me chill. Tangerine and a true leucistic. Yeah, I will definitely be trying for new stuff. I mean, I think every hobby needs new and interesting innovations, which is one reason why when I see something that's unique or different, I start a project for it and I name it, especially if it's something that's not really done in the hobby or not done a lot. Because then you could start, you know, something brand new that will branch off and other people will get involved and develop it as well. And because you're only one person, so, you know, the odds of you bringing a project to success are a lot higher when you start bringing in other people working the project and all that kind of stuff. But anywho, are you good, baby? You good? Yeah, she's good. She or he is good. Ooh, it's hot in here, y'all. Hot in here. I hope you call the greenish line the blue cheese variant. It looks a lot like a cheese culture growing in the back. That's cool. That's actually a good name and a good point. Tatum, who works for us over here, you guys probably have seen her in videos. She loves mold and like watching mold grow. So sometimes I'll show her like the leopard gecko eggs that has like the most beautiful mold. It's like bright orange or neon green. It's crazy. Alex, I don't know if you saw my green leopard gecko that I posted recently, or like the green, one of the green projects that I'm working on. I decided to name it the Green Monster line. So it's going to be super giant blood and then like Bell lineage stuff. And it'll be called the Super Giant, the Green Monster Project. So anyone who knows baseball will probably know what I'm talking about. And if you don't know baseball, wow, this girl is screaming. You can hear it. That is a loud, that is probably the loudest pound for pound scream that I've ever heard. Because this is a tiny 15-gram gecko. And she's screaming like she's a 30-gram monster. Actually, I've heard adults not even scream that robust before. This one should be an opera singer. You are getting rated at least a number 3, little one, when it comes to... Okay, so the Green Monster is... What am I going to do with her? The Green Monster is a giant wall in baseball. Is it in Boston? I'm not even like, I don't follow baseball too much. I love baseball, don't get me wrong. I played it all my life growing up, even into adulthood, playing men's adult softball and all that. But I've never been big into like getting interrupted again by a gecko. I've never been big into like following sports. My dad's huge into that. So the Green Monster, who knows what wall that is? It's one of these walls in professional baseball. It's a giant green wall that's like 100 feet in the air or something, and they call it the Green Monster because people got to hit the ball. If you want a home run, you got to hit the ball over the Green Monster. Well, Stella, you came to the right place. I'm always happy to help. Also, if you go to my website, my phone number's on there, and you could text or call anytime and get your questions answered. We have a care sheet on our website. We have multiple videos on our YouTube channel across all different topics, even topics that some breeders do not dare to talk about out of fear of repercussion. We talk about those topics because I think people deserve education over, let me see what, I need a nifty little way to put it. People deserve education over, what is it called when people like hide information or don't reveal information or don't talk about information? I can't use the word proclamation because that's proclaiming information. What did I say? I like to promote education over procrastination. No, that wouldn't work. One of you guys will come up with a good term that I can use. Ooh, this one's got a super cool head pattern. I'll show you. Really cool. What is this from the cheetah? Oh, Tiger Heart Project. So this is from our Tangerine Turkmenicus, and then the female has a heart on her head. So it just created just a really interesting head pattern. I can almost see like a human in there raising his hand or something like that. Tribulation. Education over tribulation. That actually works because when you don't know the answers, you are in trouble. You're in tribulation. You're vexed. And a lot of times in our hobby, a lot of people don't want to talk about the controversial topics. And honestly, I don't even think the topics are that controversial, but people tend to, you know, gravitate towards certain topics being things that you don't want to talk about publicly. And I've always been one to talk about those things, which is why a lot of people, you know, from time to time, you will see that people give me a hard time about doing that. But like I said, education over tribulation. That's a great saying. I will give you credit, but I will use that from now on. Thank you for the nice welcome. Of course. That's another thing too, is I'm all about, you know, people being accepted here, no matter what your opinions are. You know, no one's going to shame you for it or anything like that or think down on you, especially if you're just getting in. So no question is truly a bad question, and I'm always happy to answer questions, as well as let people know that if there's multiple answers to a question or multiple right ways to do it or better ways to do it, I'll educate on the top ways to do it or the successful ways to do it, and then people can make their own decision on what would work best for them. So this little gal, she jumped at me but didn't bite. You could hear a little squirk, not even a squeak, just a little squirk where she was like, Sometimes they do that. But this is the age. It's like the troublesome twos. This is like the troublesome twos for leopard geckos. When they're 1 to 2 months old, it's their troublesome twos phase. They're rebellious. They're defiant. They're ungrateful. Education over figulations. I don't know that word. So can you let me know the definition of that word? Everyone on here should check out Astro's channel. Yes, Astro's did a pro bono free commercial for us. I really enjoyed it, and we're going to get him on a live stream at some point in the future. And he does great comedic work with his reptiles. He's nerdy. He's a sci-fi geek, and we love him around here. So definitely check out his channel for sure. Ooh, this was a nice bright orange. Yeah, figulations. I need to. I don't like not knowing the definitions of words, so I need to know, please. Education over hesitation. I like that. Okay, so we got education over hesitation, education over tribulation, education over oh, maybe he run it up, deleted it. Maybe it was a different spelling that he needed to correct or something. We'll see. Had my deep heat night on. Wait. Alex says, had my deep heat night bulb for a year now. Still works. But I wonder, are the UVB bulbs where you are need to replace them eventually, even if they still work? Yeah, actually, I can really answer that. So sailfin dragons absolutely need strong UVB, as well as bearded dragons need strong UVB. Much stronger than leopard geckos, which actually don't need UVB if you give them the proper supplementation. So the reason I say that is because you can buy what's called a solar meter. It's around $150 on sale. Normally it's around $200. You can get it from Amazon or reptilebasics.com. Like a lot of different places sell it. It's just called a solar meter, and it reads the output of the UV rays to see when it goes dead. Most UV bulbs, let me just say mercury vapor bulbs, because that's what I mostly have used up to this point. Most mercury vapor bulbs says that the UV output is going to start diminishing or go away completely within 6 to 12 months. I've had these bulbs for 2 years, and they're still the same strength that they were a year ago. So if you have a solar meter, you can extend the life of UVB bulbs by reading the UV output and just changing it when the output starts to drop to a level that is no good anymore. Or eventually the bulb will just fail completely and stop producing light. But just because a bulb has light doesn't mean that it's producing a significant amount of UV. And that's where the UV readers come into play. So out of like 15 mercury vapor bulbs that I bought within 1 to 2 years ago, I've only had to replace like 2 or 3 of them, maybe even only 1 or 2 of them in the last year and a half, just because I have the solar meter and I can monitor them and allow them to ride it out until they die, so that you're not wasting money. There's no point in eating up more resources in this world and wasting your own money and all that kind of stuff if you can know and have the assurance that your products are still working. And that's where a solar meter really shines. So solar, SOLAR meter, and you will see there's a few different models. So if you get confused, just text me or hit me up and I'll let you know which model I got. And the model that I have is like the most popular model for the USA market. There's other models that may be popular in like the UK market or something like that. But what about a clown, bold, blizzard, albino? The problem with that is blizzard and albino wipe away all pattern and all color. So you're still going to be, you could have a blizzard, albino, white and yellow, Max Snow, Cypher, tangerine, whatever. You could have all these different Black Knight. You could have 15 different morphs inside of a blizzard. And for the most part, it's still going to be a whitish, grayish, lavenderish colored animal. And that's just because blizzard wipes away all pattern and all color, and then albino blizzards actually make the blizzards a little bit more on the whiter / pinker side. But great thing in theory. Yeah, and a deep heat projector does not put out UVB to my knowledge. So I was a little confused, Alex, if you were asking about a deep heat projector, which puts out just heat, or if you were talking about a UVB bulb. But either way, if you're managing a deep heat projector, there's no light, right? It's just heat. You could use a temp gun. You could buy a temp gun for $20 from Amazon. Great investment. Same with the UV meter. If a UV meter could make your UVB bulbs last a year longer than expected, that's certainly a great investment because UV is not cheap. Especially mercury vapor bulbs, they're like 50, 70 bucks a shot. If you got 15 of those bulbs and you got to replace them, that's an expensive endeavor there. But yeah, DP projectors, correct me if I'm wrong, they should just be producing heat, no light. So what you would do with that is just monitor it. Make sure that it's still producing heat. If your question is, does a DP projector get weaker over time? I don't know, honestly. It might be one of those bulbs where it's either full power or full dead. Or it might be one of those bulbs, which this might be your question, it's either full power, medium power, low power, right before it dies. And I don't know the answer to that question. But somebody who's watching this back might. But as long as you have a temp gun or a thermometer that is reading the temperatures underneath that bulb, periodically, you can keep an eye on it and you can see if it starts to weaken or lessen and then replace it when it's necessary. After a year of them being on 24/7, I guess that's a good point too, is that deep heat projectors are often on 24/7, so they are used a lot more frequently than like regular bulbs. Heat doesn't seem to be as strong, but definitely helps to use the higher watt, like 80 watt. Thanks, Frank. Lieutenant Pancake is in my hand now. Oh, hi, Lieutenant Pancake. That's the gecko that we sold to Alex way back when. He is sad as he is molting. Can you give him some words of encouragement? Lieutenant Pancake, you got this, my man. We have bred you and trained you from the finest stock of tangerine leopard geckos. A little bit of molting will not be a problem for you. So you go ahead and take your time with that. Go into your humid hide. Do what you do best. Take that skin off. Wipe that smirk off your face. And let's get back to making memes with Alex. But we love you, buddy. And we will see you soon on a new video. If I was to get a Leo, would you recommend a male or female? Male or female does not matter. One, personality-wise, males and females both contain the possibility to have very calm or a little bit spunky personalities. So either way, it's not going to be a problem. Males do tend to get about 10% bigger, and they will have wider heads. So if you're just going for an overall bigger, bulkier gecko, the male would be the way to go. But even then, it's not that much bigger than the females. And some males are small, and some females are big. So there is some natural variance that goes on there. Other than that, the only thing you really have to worry about is once a year, the females are going to go into ovulation, and during that period of time, they might not want to eat very much, and it concerns a lot of new keepers. They don't understand, why is my gecko not eating? And I ask them to check her belly, and sure enough, she has pink dots, and she's ovulating, and when a female is ovulating, sometimes they will get a little more, they will fast. They just won't eat as much for... sometimes it's just a week or two. Other times, some females might take a couple months where they kind of either don't eat at all or eat just a little bit here and there. That should be perfectly fine for them as long as you fatten them up before that time. You should have nothing to worry about. But that is the one thing that you do have to at least be aware of with females, is that they will ovulate one time a year, and sometimes they could even lay dud eggs, which concerns people sometimes because eggs can technically get stuck and become egg bound and kill your female, but that's really rare, especially if your female hasn't bred. So at the end of the day, I think it's about what you want. Keep in mind, males are going to have bigger jaws, stronger jaws. So if you like a little bit more of a delicate gecko, a gecko that you could be like, hey girly, let me get a little lick, and they'll lick you on the tip of the finger, because whenever you touch their lips, they give you a little lick, and you don't have to worry about like being bit or anything like that, then a girl might be your answer. If you're looking for like a bigger, rougher, tougher kind of gecko, then a male might be your answer. But most males are also not aggressive, so don't take it that I'm saying that males are more aggressive than females, because they're not, although they can be if they smell other males on you. So that's where, if you were, had other males and you were afraid of getting bit, that's where you might just want to have females, because females don't really get that way towards other females for the most part, especially if they're not housed together. But sometimes males can get a bit territorial if they smell the smell of other males on you when you go to pick up that other male. So I know I kind of rambled a little bit. I hope some of that is helpful, and you can consider the pros and the cons of what is going to be most valuable to you. But honestly, in general, I don't think any of those changes are worth considering over the look of a gecko. I would go with the gecko that looks the best to you, that looks the most like, ooh, yeah, I like that gecko. Oh, but I can't buy it because it's a female and I wanted a male. Or, oh, I can't buy it because it's a male and I wanted a female. So I would set aside male or female, and I would prioritize what gecko are you most attracted to based on the way that it looks. And then you could also consider the other things that I mentioned, but that's just my typical advice. My wife suffers from trypophobia. I don't know what that is, but if you could let me know. When she sees many dark patterns in geckos, she feels discomfort. Okay, I have heard some people say stuff similar to what you're saying. How can I be sure that if I get a gecko tangerine, she will not have pattern when she grows up? Well, geckos that have... Okay, this is a great question. On my website, we have tangerine leopard geckos that don't have any spots on them. If they don't have any spots on them, the likelihood of them developing spots is very, very low. And you could always ask me. You could email me and be like, hey, this animal that you have on your website, what is the likelihood that it will develop spots? And I will let you know. The likelihood of tangerines developing spots is very low. And if you want to decrease those chances, I would get a albino tangerine, because albinos, even if they develop spots, the spots will be like light brown or tan or champagne colored, compared to on a non-albino they'll be black. But there are, I don't label this all the time because I feel like it's word vomit a little bit, and I don't want too many words on the label of a gecko sometimes. But a lot of the geckos that you see on my website right now, I just added 29 new geckos, and a bunch of them fit into this category. I will label it like Mandarin Inferno or Mandarin Inferno Emerine. And then in the tags, I will actually tag it as what's called a super hypo. So that if you were shopping for super hypos on my website, you could go to the drop-down menu, go to super hypo. And when you go to super hypo, you will see these orange tangerines, and they will be in those sections. So even though I didn't label it in the description or the title of super hypo, I just didn't want unnecessary words in the title. But a super hypo basically means 0 black spots on the back of the animal. Now, if you get a yellow leopard gecko, Yellow leopard geckos have a higher likelihood of developing spots, even if they don't have any yet, and they will often have black spots on their heads and tails, etc. But if you shop in the tangerine leopard geckos, they don't often have black spots. It's just been something that's kind of been bred out of them over the years. And as long as you pick lineages that are more of that tangerine, that solid tangerine color, you shouldn't be getting spots out of those lineages. And just text me or email me if you're concerned, or if you have a few options of geckos that you like, and be like, which one is going to have the least or zero black spots, I can let you know. Yeah, that's what he was asking, Frank, if the DP projector loses strength eventually. Temp guns are great. Which is better, pure blood or blood cross? They're both great. Sometimes blood crosses can be less colorful than pure bloods, and sometimes pure bloods could have inbreeding issues because they've been bred to the bloodline too much. So honestly, a pure or a blood, as long as it looks healthy, it's got robust features, good features. It's the right size for the age. It's eating. The breeder is a trustable breeder and is not going to sell you an unhealthy chamois gecko. As long as all that is the case, pure or cross doesn't matter. And you should be okay with either one. But those are just two things to consider. Crosses will usually be less colorful than pures. And pures will usually be more inbred than crosses. And when you have inbred geckos, sometimes they're smaller. Sometimes the babies are born with more deformities because they're more inbred. So just things to consider. I'm a big fan of crossing and outcrossing. So yeah, those are just some things to consider. Yeah, I can't do private messages on Instagram or Facebook just because there's so many messages on there that I can't like get back to them. But on my website, you can email me from my website and I will respond to you within a few hours or less. Or you could text me or call me from my website. My phone number's on my website and I will respond to you in a few hours or less. So those are the best ways to like reach me. You're very helpful, Stella. Little sacs in front of their legs. People call those calcium sacs. What you probably want to do is dial down the amount of supplements and calcium you are using. If you're using them every meal, do it like every other meal or every third meal. And then those calcium sacs will come down. I've never seen a scientific paper, peer-reviewed research paper that has definitively said what those are. But this is what I've noticed, and I've experienced this myself. If you minimize or lessen the amount of calcium powder and or supplementation, those should start to go away. Like I don't have any in my collection right now, but there was a period of time where a few years ago, three or 4 years ago, mealworms were sold out everywhere, and I had to use dubia roaches for my leopard geckos. And the calcium supplementation mixture that I use with the mealworms, it did not make them get the fatty sacs. But when I switched over to dubia roaches, they all started to get the fatty sacs. And so it's some kind of nutritional supplementation imbalance or overbalance. It's not dangerous whatsoever. And if you just cut the supplementation down to every other feeding or every third feeding and start to experiment with that, then that should work perfectly fine. And again, I do recommend a 1-to-3 ratio of calcium to vitamins. So if you're using Reptical with D3, 1 part of that mixed with 3 parts of Herptivite vitamins or Vionate vitamins, 1-to-3 ratio. That's what I recommend. And I feed that to my leopard geckos 24/7. They have access to it. And they have worms in their cage 24/7 with the calcium powder over there. No bubbles whatsoever. So geckos in uniform. Just don't mix the blood with the crip. Good. I didn't know you were capable of a gang joke. Alex, but good to know. Oh, man. Okay, this is the last one I'm going to clean for right now, and then I'm going to take a little break, hydrate, come back, and clean some more. I love watching all the leopard geckos drink when they get their fresh water and cleaning. They all go right up to that bowl and start slurping it up like a slushie. It's great. So thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate it. I do plan on doing plenty more live streams. And yeah, I added 29 new geckos tonight. I have 100 new ones to add over the next week or two. And I will most likely do some live streams specifically showing off the geckos that are on our website. But I'll also do live streams like this where I just chit chat with you guys while cleaning, since there's always cleaning to be done around here. So I love you guys. I appreciate you. Happy New Year. I hope your first week of the new year has gone good so far, and that you have a good work week starting this week, which is already past Monday, heading into Tuesday. So if you guys need me, just reach out to me. My phone number is on the website. My email's on the website. I'll see you guys very soon. Amy, Alex, who else? Stella, John, Carlos, everybody who's in here that I've talked to. And if I forgot to mention your name, thank you so much. I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. See you in the next video. And until then, have yourself a geeky gecko. Great day. Peace.